can we start then first with the Phase 1 community buildings governance? We've got Liz Davey from the council and Kay Higman from Strategic Leisure.
District Council. Some of you will probably already know me from the work that I've been doing with Claire Gibbons on the Community Governance Review. In addition to that work, we've also been looking at the community facilities in Phase 1 and the potential future governance arrangements for those. So that's the community building in the local centre, also the sports pavilion and the associated pitches. So across South Cambridgeshire, we have sports centres and community buildings that operate under several different models. So some are managed by parish councils, some community trusts and charities, and others by the local village colleges. Unlike many other local authority areas, South Cambs doesn't currently operate any community facilities itself. And so we've asked Strategic Leisure, who specialise in the planning, development and management of sports and leisure facilities, to advise on the different operating models available to find the one that's best suited to the Phase 1 facilities. We had planned to hold a small community focus group workshop type event. Unfortunately, the pandemic had an inevitable impact on that, and the level of type of community engagement that's been possible to carry out as part of that work. But we did set up an interactive web page to gather some feedback. And I'm going to hand you over to Kay now from Strategic Leisure to give a brief update on the work that's been done to date and some of the feedback that we've received as part of that process.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you for inviting me tonight to the forum. It would have been lovely to have met you all in person, but hopefully technology will serve its purpose this evening. As Liz has said, Strategic Leisure is being commissioned to look at the management models for both of the buildings. So that's the community centre and the pitches and pavilions in North Stowe. So primarily we'll be looking at the management models, looking at the advantages and disadvantages, taking into account the financial, legal and staffing issues, really examining the costs and resources of each of the models. And obviously it needs to maximise income and be sustainable in the longer term. So as part of that study, we've carried out some consultation to establish what was important to the local community, particularly with reference to activities and how people want to use the spaces that are available and the accessibility issues. So I'd like to take you through that consultation now. Please bear with me whilst I load up the PowerPoint presentation. Take one moment, hopefully. So the first survey that I want to go through with you is the one relating to the community centre. Hopefully everybody can see the presentation on the screen. I'm seeing a few nodding heads, so I'm guessing so. So first off, the first question was about activities that people would like to see within the community centre. As you can see, there was a real range of activities which we would have really expected to have been the case. The community centre is, by the very nature of it, for the whole community. So there are sports events represented in here, youth club, children's activities, arts and crafts, preschool and so on. So it's very much a cross-section of activities that people would like to see within the centre. In terms of the management aspects, there was a range of preferences. These are still being analysed at the moment, but there was strong support for any potential future parish or town council or a community group even to take on the management. There was also some support for the secondary school operator to take on the management. In terms of bookings, management of the bookings, again, kind of a broad range of opinions, really. Some people okay with it online, some by managers of the building. But I think the main message is that it needs to be accessible and easy. Now, the last slide here is what is important to people about their community centre. So the orange is what is least important to people, and the green is what is most important. And obviously the colours in between vary between those two extremes. So picking on the fact on the largest green line, which is a convenient meeting place. Again, I think that's something we would expect from a community centre, that it is that meeting place, that drop-in place that people like to go to engage with other people within the community. Affordable prices was the next one that's the most important. Cafe, drop-in space and opening times. So I'll give you a little bit of time to just have a quick look at that before I move on to the next survey. Unless there are any questions on that particular one, Chair.
No questions so far, Kay.
Okay. So I'm just loading now the consultation questionnaire that we did with regards to the playing pitches and the pavilion. Similar style survey, so hopefully everyone will understand what each of the colours and so on represents. Firstly, the priority of activities. As you can see from the diagram here, a junior club was something people wanted to see, training and competition, and also for adults as well, and holiday schemes, coaching, casual hire, and so on. In terms of management, oh, sorry, is this no, this should actually read, sorry, the pitch and pavilion rather than the community centre managed. There's a range of preferences, the same as the community centre, but a lot of the respondents really didn't indicate they had a preference at all, which is probably because the pitches then sort of a technical operation rather than the community centre, which is a broader sort of management option. There was, however, strong support for the Parish Town Council to manage it and some support again for the secondary school operator.
Okay, could you just confirm, because I think some people missed the first part, who was it that was surveyed? And the question is, how representative we think the answers are?
Actually, the survey was done through John. So I know that he has a list of all the people who were surveyed, but the parish councils, basically town councils, were relevant. But I don't know whether John is able to give a few more details of the survey.
Absolutely. So
if you're there, John.
What we tried to do was...
John, you're on mute. Or Liz or Claire?
Yeah, so I can give so John as community development officer put forward some names. There was approximately about 35 individuals or groups, the people that were key community engaged in organising activities in the community, who are regular users of the wing or had expressed an interest in using or hiring or running groups and activities from the community buildings in the future. There was also some of the groups through Active New Communities, contacts that they have in the for activities that they've been running, and some of the other groups like the Sport and Health and Wellbeing group. So there were names of individuals and members of groups that were put forward by John as Community Development Officer. If there is anybody who didn't have an opportunity to fill in the survey and would like to, then if they want to pass their details to John, we can arrange for that. That's no problem at all.
Okay, thank you, Liz and John. And in addition to the surveys, we have done other consultation. We've done consultation with Living Sport, which is the active sport partnership. We've spoken to the representatives at CMAT, obviously the council and Longstanton Parish Council, and we've got a few other organisations still to consult with. Again, we would have liked to have come to more groups and forums, but unfortunately because of the pandemic it hasn't been possible to do that. But we think got a good cross section of views that have come back as part of these particular surveys that we've had. So moving on to the bookings, again a fair spread of how people would like the bookings to be managed for the new pavilion. Online 34%, 23%, the next one was by phone. So a fair spread. So I think we can certainly take that on board in terms of commenting back on the proposed management, that it covers all of those functions. And finally, in terms of ranking, what's important for sports pavilions and pitches, again, the ones in green are the most important. The least important perceptions were the ones in orange. So green, green, we've got affordable prices, basically being accessible, a safe space. Those things are considered really important, which you might expect them to be really, and facilities and activities on offer. So where we go from here in terms of the consultation is, I'm just going to change that over, in terms of the consultation is completing the analysis of the survey, carrying out the additional consultation that we've got, and then from there report back to the council with the range of management options that are available, with advantages and disadvantages, setup costs, and looking at things like staffing issues and resources for the council to make a decision ongoing about the best possible way of managing those facilities, which might not necessarily be the same organisation that manages them both. It might be one organisation that manages one, which is separate from the one that manages the other. It needs to be appropriate to the community. Don't know if there's any questions on that one.
There weren't any additional questions. I think there was potentially problem with the audio from Liz and John.
So I'm very sorry. I'm not entirely sure why my sound didn't come through and Liz's didn't come through. So for the benefit of those people that are on the call, I am speaking directly into the mixer. So this will probably come out actually on the event. Just to say that yes, that's coming through. I can hear it now. Just to say that when we tried to find a representative group of people to do to take this survey. So what we were deliberately not trying to do was to just survey those people who we know and who we have spoken to most often, but we were trying to ensure that the survey was taken by a representative group of people who are representative of the ethnic, the cultural, the social makeup of Northstowe. So we tried to ensure that we had people from various different walks of life. We had older people, younger people, people who have children, people who are single. We tried to make sure that that was a wide and representative set of consultees. And Liz also made the offer, I believe, that if you would like to have been included in that and you weren't, if you want to send me your contact details on northstowe.community@scams.gov.uk, the standard email address, then I can actually email out that to you, and you can sort of retroactively take part, and we will then be able to consider that info. Thank you. Sorry about the sound issues.
So we have a question from Kathy. Any update on when the buildings will be available? Liz, can you take that?
Yes, it can. Hopefully you can hear me this time. So the sports pavilion, I have had an update from our new build team, and they have drawings that have been, the initial drawings that were produced previously have been revised to take into account some value engineering and also improve sustainability of the building. They're hoping to take those to pre-app shortly, and believe so that will go through planning and should be able to start commencement of the pavilion early next year. That's the time frame that they're working to. In terms of the community building, I'm sure that L&Q will be updating later in terms of local square, etc. But the S106 timeframe for land transfer is at 750 dwellings, which on the trajectory, housing trajectory, was fourth quarter of this year. That is obviously pre-COVID, so I'm not sure how that would be affected by COVID. But and then from point of land transfer, the council has 18 months to make best endeavours to construct the building. So that would be 2022.
That's great. Thanks very much, Liz. Right, in that case, we haven't any more questions on the forum so far on the community buildings. So we'll move on to phase 1 update, and